Hey, guys, welcome back to another episode of Devs Like Us. I'm JB.
I'm Clarence.
I'm Terrence.
So we're going to keep up with, normal order of business. So how's everybody week been going? How's everybody feeling?
I'm tired.
I don't even know what day it is,
That,
but I'm here.
I mean, these short weeks be getting to me. I understand it. It's been a rough short week, It's always like, oh yeah, it'll be easy, be quick. And it takes forever to get to the end.
Oh
So
no,
yeah,
it's
I'm
been a
feeling that.
long week, so I understand. It's like, whew, we're almost there.
I get it. One more day. One more day. That's it.
One more day.
You get a smidge of rest, and then we hop back into it.
Exactly.
Winter's here. The apple cider is brewing. The coffee's going.
Oh yes, I
Hot
saw apple
chocolate
cider
Spice.
in the
with
store.
the little
It's like,
marshmallows. Marshmallows or no marshmallows in
yeah,
the hot chocolate.
It
well,
depends.
I'm a marshmallows kind of girl.
It depends on the morning.
Well, you in your own little circle. I like my little marshmallows. But let's get on topic today. So today's topic, freelancing.
Ooh.
How do we feel about it? What do you think about it? Like, is it good, bad, the ugly, all that good stuff? So, to start us out, what does freelancing mean to you, T-Man?
As a developer,
Yeah, as a developer. I mean,
so
we're devs like us. So yeah, as a developer.
so it so you can definitely have. I mean, when I think freelancing, that work is the work that you're doing. Basically, you're picking the work that you want to do. You're not held to a specific employer of you're basically out there in the wild on your own, choosing the work that you want to do. You're trying to set your prices or negotiating your prices, and you're really all in one shop. Not saying that you can't have a team while you're out there freelancing and you can't subcontract work to others, but you're basically doing that work on your own. And so there's some freelancers where they do 100% freelance, and then some folks who have that main job, that stability with that main job, have that good insurance with that employer, and that differs based off of what country you're in. But you're not in the U.S. for sure. It's really tied to your employment for the most part. And so some folks keep their main job for that, and then they have some percentage where they do freelance work on the side as well. So I'm thinking freelance work, though, you kind of have more of an option depending on your financial stability on what you pick and choose as far as work goes.
Clarence, how you
For me,
feeling? What do you
for
think about
me,
it?
for me, freelance means flexibility. One thing I think T
I
Man touched
disagree.
on.
I
Really?
disagree, and I'm
Really?
gonna get this going early. I
We're gonna hit
Are you
this
disagree.
wall early, I guess.
are you
If
starting a feud already?
I think freelancing is less flexibility. I
Okay.
feel as though freelancing in some ways forces you to take things that you might not want or roles that you might not
Mm,
want just to make sure that you're getting that income that you need. So
good point.
there's a time I feel as though there are some, or in my opinion few, that are able to pick out those roles or those jobs that they like, that they really enjoy, in the customers that they enjoy working with. But starting out, there's a lot of, oh, freelancing is just this beautiful thing. It is hard out there
True.
being
Yeah,
all in one shop, going out there in the world. It's rough, and it
very
can mean
cutthroat.
flexibility, but you have to work like I don't know what, just to build up that opportunity to get that flexibility.
That's
There's a
true.
lot of jobs out there where they have like unlimited paid time off. That's not most places, but there are some companies that
Right.
have that. It's
Right.
hard to compete with some of these big time companies as far as like freelancing life versus some of these big time companies. It is hard to compete. And
True.
in my opinion, I feel as though advertising, advertising,
He is coming for me. I
I
got
feel,
one word out.
I'm sorry, I was watching ESPN this morning. Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharp, they was getting at it, and that's kind of what I'm doing here. But I feel as though freelancing, not to discourage anybody, but to be 100% freelancer, you better have that money saved up, or you better really, really build up that clientele before you take that jump. I know
True.
everyone is like, oh, you can't see how it is until you take that job. You better have at least 6 months to a year worth of finances set up so you can be right out there. So flexibility is a potential you can have the flexibility potentially, but I wouldn't expect it up front at all.
Yeah, definitely.
You continue, Clarence. I just had to get that out.
Yeah.
I want
Since now that
I-
he's finished, Clarence, tell us how you feel about freelance.
devs like us, audience. Don't forget, you can do it. I don't want you to feel like you can't be a freelancer. You can do it, but
No,
100%.
you just threw everybody off. Nobody wants to freelance ever in life.
I'm afraid to use another word because I don't know what kind of response I give.
Flexibility, no.
So
Freedom, absolutely not.
As Terrence so thoroughly put out there, I was gonna say, I do think when I think of
Don't be
freelance.
scared to state your case. If you feel as though it's freelancing is flexibility, you state it and you defend it.
I'm gonna defend it. So I do agree. I do agree everything that he said, but when I think of freelance off the back, I think of flexibility, and that's not for the beginner freelancer. That's definitely for somebody who's been in the freelance game for a long time. They've built relationships with their clients. They have a high reputation where people are relying on them, or they don't really worry as much because they have that reputation that kind of holds them over, and it builds that backlog of projects because when you first start out, you're hungry, you want different types of projects, you want certain projects, but when you are starting out, sometimes you don't really get a choice. You might have to pick up some crappy projects to kind of get your name out there, and again build like that relationship with customers that they're easily or they would refer you to other folks. So I kind of compare freelancing to just like your regular 9 to 5, where your first job might not be your dream job.
You comparing freelancing to 9 to 5?
Yes.
I compare freelancing.
Let me get in close on this one because I need to hear this.
And I'm gonna tell you this, and this goes into business, and I'm gonna let you go back. And JB, you're not doing a great job at keeping me off of him right now.
Because
you
just trying to take over.
Is this a podcast or a debate?
A little bit.
We're debating on this one. This devs like us debate edition.
Clarence, tell us more about what you. No.
The reason why I compare the two is because you could start a job and not necessarily like it, but at the same time, you still can build skills that can help you later on. And so that's why I compare it to your 9 to 5. I mean, sure, you don't get the benefits. You might not get the same pay, but at the same time, any job that you take, you can't say that you just walk in knowing that you love it. Like, I don't agree with that. So that's why I think that, like, I compared it to you. Only difference that you do have with freelance is that, in some cases,
only as in there's only one difference.
I mean,
there's plenty of differences.
There's plenty of difference, but to me, the only difference that I see that you have with freelance is that you do take a project for a certain amount of time. So if you don't like it, you can always, look for something else. You could end your terms a lot easier in most cases, depending on what kind of contract that you set up with the client that you have. So I think that, like, that's why I think flexibility, because at least,
Now I have to interrupt. Because of the fact that
I'm in line. I'm in the queue first. I'm popped first out.
No. You've already had your chance at him. Now it's my turn.
What sort is this?
I don't agree with that part just because of the fact of you talked about, reputation, and reputation means a lot to help you build your business, whatever.
Right.
But then you say, if you don't like something, you just give it up. Well, now you put this client in a bad spot.
And how about your finances?
True.
Freelancing, you're not getting paid time off. Your paid
freelancing,
time off is your savings.
Exactly.
That's true.
And when it comes to, if you freelancing and you're using like one of these sites that help you find those ads and those jobs, guess what? They have a scoring system that the client does for you.
True.
And so you like, I don't want to do this no more. I don't like it.
I mean,
well, now that client's going to give you a bad score, and that shows
Clarence, you didn't know JB freelanced in college, did you? She was she did that website and all that for the music producers.
Yeah, the church too, wasn't it? No, but I guess like
Actually,
what
JB has the most freelance experience out of all of us. Actually,
I guess what I
Forgot
mean
about that
to
time.
I guess what I mean to finish what I was trying to say. Damn, I feel so attacked tonight. But I guess what I was
and I
trying to
still
say.
want to get back on that 9 to 5 because I
Oh,
have a
I know
problem
you're
with that
ready.
statement. But you can
I
go
know
ahead.
you're ready. But what I was gonna say was that if you don't necessarily like a project, I'm not saying that you walk off the job. I'm just saying that like there's an end date to that project, and so once you finish it or once you complete all of the tasks that are asked of you, there is a chance to start something new in the next on your next contract or your next freelance gig.
This is
Okay,
deja
that
vu.
makes
I'm
a
sorry,
little
but
more
people
sense.
got real problems out here, Clarence. I don't feel as though you're being real with them.
I'm
This
being
no
serious.
no 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 Clarence. You talk to if you're a freelancer, I feel as though you're in more of the entrepreneurial space than
True.
you are working for a big corporation or working a job where
You're
it's
a
not
contractor.
a freelance job. So
Right.
being a freelancer is to me the complete opposite of 9 to 5. I think it's more like 24/7 starting out. I'm not saying there's not those people who have built up that clientele, but it is not. And what's the website? Upwork or one of the
Upwork and
That's
there's a
yeah,
bunch. That's one of them.
yeah.
from folks that I've talked to starting out, and if you're using a third party site like that, they're cutting into your profit as well. It's better for you to have clientele directly, but you're basically working for free. And Clarence, I've heard you say this offline, so I don't even want you acting like you can say this. You're basically working for free on that thing until you get a lot of good stars and reputation. I don't even, how long does that last?
It
How
doesn't
long
have to
does that
last
last?
forever. I think I will say, okay, I'll give you that. There is the reality of the starter freelancer. Maybe my answers are more like the person who's been in freelance for a long time. Some of the folks that I follow on YouTube that have been freelancing for a good while, they paint that pretty picture, but
Clickbait.
clickbait, yes. But in the
Did you just
reality,
admit to
yes.
listening to clickbait, Clarence?
I listen to clickbait. Hey, it caught my eye. But
So
look,
that means it's not real.
Okay.
That means it's not real. So, but I agree, Clarence. I do agree. The point I do agree with is that that is possible. So,
right.
how do we get
True.
our listeners and those? How do we get them there?
See, but I think okay, so I
I'm
guess
agreeing with you. I agree with
I
you.
I know you agree with me. I know you agree with me. But I really think that there's no one path to get to that point because I do feel like so for instance, what where I was introduced into freelance was that one morning I was at work, there was a I guess you call it clickbait, this woman and this wasn't she wasn't necessarily in
Make
a
up a
tech
title
space.
for it, Clarence. It doesn't have to be
Uh
real title. Just make up a title for it.
make a how I made $100,000 in a year. That
How I
was
made
the
how I made $100,000 in my first 8 weeks as a freelancer.
so
Oh,
yeah,
I'm
some people
clicking that.
I
I'm
did
clicking
see a
so,
video like that
there are a lot of
recently.
videos like that. And I
six
think
figures in
those
8 weeks. Okay, I got it, Clarence.
those are misleading. But this in this particular article, this lady made 100, I'll say six figures in her first year freelancing. And so like it wasn't that she made the 100 grand right there off the bat. I mean, there were months that led up that she hardly made anything. But what happened was she was taking small jobs and like you mentioned, she was taking stuff that was for free, but what that was doing was building up her reputation with newer clients. So as she did good work, sure. I mean, she probably lost out on tons of money because she probably put in her all and gave her best foot. And let's just say that the luck worked out that she never got any other clients. Well, now the client that she did stuff for free, they have an actual good product from what she did. And again, she wasn't a dev. She wasn't a dev. I think she was like a technical writer or something like that. But that's what got me introduced to freelance. And then as I searched on YouTube, I noticed that there are a lot of clickbait where, like you said, it's like, yeah, how I made like 20 grand in like 6 weeks and stuff like that. And I mean, I've watched some of those where they still say that they have the same starter issues where the first one isn't like paying a lot because I've looked into freelance a lot and I thought I was cheap by just doing, $5 an hour jobs, and that still wasn't cheap because you're
Yeah, you're
competing
getting
with,
beat out by a lot of people.
yeah, people will do stuff for like a penny. And I mean, like,
Yeah.
I guess like there's trade-offs with that because sure you could be getting paid because of course the dream is painted that, oh, I could quit my job because I freelance, like I make a ton of money doing freelance. So I agree with you, Terrence, is where it's like, yeah, a lot of it is misleading. There is kind of like a pretty picture that you see, but reality behind the picture is that it's a lot of uncertainties. It's a lot of I'm trying to think of the word in terms of pain, but just like a lot of things that just don't, from a distance it looks good, but when you get really close up on it, it's just like you see a lot of the problems or the issues with the actual pain in itself. So I mean,
Well,
I think it could go either way you look at it. It could be good, it could be bad. I do think one thing that I've noticed a lot of folks have been doing, especially since the pandemic, is that they have been trying to get more people to freelance because it does at least offer you, if you do it on the side, it might offer you extra income or
for sure.
building your skills. So that's maybe one of the biggest benefits is that sure you might not get paid for a lot of work that you do, but at the same time if you want to build a portfolio and you have if you have a dry brainstorming session with yourself or your friends, at least freelance will offer a chance for you to get some new stuff to work on, some stuff outside of your day-to-day work. I mean, heck, it could even lead you to learning a new skill that you didn't even know that you would be good at, that you wouldn't normally see in your 9 to 5.
That
Very
brings
true.
up a great point, Clarence, and that's in my opinion one of the biggest benefits of freelance work is not necessarily the flexibility, even though that is an option that you can work towards. I believe like those doors that we once felt as though were not open to that they weren't open to everyone. Hey, I can't get that. How everyone's asking for X amount of years of experience. Everyone wants this amount of experience, and I can't get hired. I can't get hired because I don't have experience. If you have internet and a laptop or a compute device, you can get on these devices and you can start building up your portfolio. If you have these access to these resources, internet, and you have a computer, you can build your portfolio. So that's the beauty I love about freelance work, and not only freelance work, but those freelancing platforms that where you can get on and sign up and start to take these jobs. And like you said, it's not something that we would want anyone to live off of starting out, but you're building
Right.
up that portfolio, and it's an investment in yourself to where you're going to get that job. Or and in my opinion, I do feel as though it's very hard to just I've only been a freelancer all my life. Everyone that's been a successful freelancer has worked in some type of with some form of company. I'm pretty sure there's some very good
Agreed.
designers maybe who are just very, very social, well-known people, because there is a networking piece to that. You could be the best person, but if you're just in your basement and not connecting with people, no one would know. So there's a whole nother aspect to freelancer. You can't just be good at what you do on the computer. You have to actually go out and
Yeah.
be able to market with yourself. You need
Right.
Customer engagement.
market yourself out there, engage with others. When there are these meetups, as we always talk about, you have to be able to go out and not just sit in the corner. You have to talk. You have to have your business card. You're an entrepreneur, and that's why I mentioned that earlier. And that is a tough skill. Most of the time, folks are either really good at one or the other, or okay at
Hmm.
one or the other. And so it's a very, very special person to be able to have that technical skills and have that entrepreneurial like spirit, and the I'm gonna wake up earlier than you, I'm gonna stay up later
Hmm.
than you type of
Right.
mentality. And that's why I disagree with the 9 to 5 so much, because when I'm thinking about entrepreneur, they are working hard. And a lot of times when we see people are starting these businesses, we're like, oh, they just look like they just have their own schedule. No, these folks are working hard, and a lot of times they're not even counting their hours. When you're with that corporate
Right.
job, oh, let me get my 40 hours in and out. No, when you're an entrepreneur, it's that phone is ringing constantly. You're up constantly trying to figure out how are you going to make sure that you're getting the cushion you need to survive, because no one's cutting you the check. You have to do like you have to go out and get that on your own. So
Yeah.
it's real. I admire anyone that's out there and doing that 100% successfully. But like I said, I do feel as though the biggest benefit from my eyes is building up a portfolio. If you're in college, you and something happens where you might not get the internship, you can always go online and start building. It takes time and it's a grind, but it is an investment in yourself.
Right.
And I'm all for it. And I do feel as though when you do get that company job, that you still have a lot of hours because to me that is helps you have more of a work-life balance than just 100% freelancing off the back, and you probably will be more financially stable for the most part. And so use that company job to where you can start doing some hours on the side, doing a freelance job and bringing up your clientele. Then you can start saying, oh, I'm making X amount of dollars over here. Then maybe it's a better way for you to figure out, can I make that jump or not?
Right.
And then, but depending on where you live too, that insurance is real. The insurance is real.
Yeah.
A lot of times these companies are matching what you're putting in your 401k. So that 100,000, okay, she still had to do taxes. How's insurance with how does the insurance works out? And like, I'm not the expert on that, so maybe it's not as bad as I'm thinking. But there's a lot of things in work that she's not. There's a lot of things that person was not investing in just to their craft that they had to worry about that a company would do for them. But I don't want to be like crusher of dreams. I just want to say.
You totally just stepped on the bug.
No, I'm setting real expectations. Let me end it by saying
you're
you
definitely setting real expectations, but you also out here crushing dreams. Just like, look, it won't be like this when you start. Don't you get out here think you're gonna make it.
JB, do you agree with the being a freelancer is a 9 to 5 type of job?
Definitely not a 9 to 5 type thing. I will say, being a freelancer, when a lot of people go into it, they think that, oh, I get to pick my own hours, like it's great. When you first get into it, that is not the case because of the fact that, like, you're just starting out. So you're trying to get, as many of these new contracts as you can, that, of course, that you can handle, not just going out here all willy-nilly, like, yeah, I'm gonna take this one, I'm gonna take this one. And now you don't have enough time to complete. But you're really trying to master your skills, build your portfolio, build those relationships. And so all of that takes time, work, practice, all of that. And so you have to really make sure that you're doing it the right way. Because like Terrence said, some people have the development skills, but not the communication skills. And you have to be able to communicate with those clients. Like if there's a problem that has come up, you need to make sure that you're communicating that with your clients because they want to know these things. And if it's like, I know I told you like 3 weeks ago that, I'd be done by now, but, something came up and it's like, well, why didn't you tell me this when it came up instead of telling me now? And so you got to make sure that you're really building up that relationship and that communication between you and those people. Now, for me, freelancing is you having the ability to kind of pick and choose what you want to do. Because even with just starting out, there are a lot of ads out there that you can do, but and you say, oh, this one sounds interesting, let me try it, but you're also bidding against other freelancers. And so then it becomes a game of, well, how low do I want to go? And when you first start out, it may be that you have to do those free jobs every now and again, or you may have to, work a job for like $2, and it's gonna hurt. It's gonna really hurt you just because you'd be like, man, I've been up for like hours, working on this one thing, and I'm only getting paid $2 for it. But you also have to think about, you have to put in something to get something out.
Mm-hmm.
And with a lot of things, there's a buy-in that happens. And so whether it's, like when we talked about, what was it, self-taught versus formal education.
Right.
So if you're going to the boot camps, guess what? You're putting in that money to, get that information that you need to just give you that start. If you're going to college, you're putting in that money to get there. If you're just completely self-taught, you're still probably going through some tutorial software like Udemy, Coursera, any of that. And so you're still putting in money to then build yourself up and put yourself out there for those development jobs. So to say that, it's just going to be, easy right off the bat, don't even think that, because it won't. Not to be discouraging, but like Terrence said, we want to make sure that people have a realistic point of view when it comes to that. And with freelancing, it can be fun. It does give you certain flexibilities because a lot of times you're not tied to a particular office. But in the age of this pandemic, we see that there are a lot of companies that are just like, all right, I guess we can let people, work from home. So
Right.
once this is over, it may be that a lot more companies are willing to let people work from home. Now, with that dynamic, they have to figure out communication, how to keep that going, and morale and all that stuff. But that's on companies. When it comes to freelancing, if you want to, if you stay close to a beach and you want to go to the beach, you can do that as long as you got your little hotspot with you or whatever to connect to the internet. Then you're good. You have that flexibility for that. But as far as flexibility, like complete flexibility for the jobs that you choose, not exactly. So yeah.
But I do, and that does bring up another point. So the 9 to 5, I do think you can have a freelance ish position if you go like the contracting route. So one of the biggest things for, and you kind of mentioned it, JB, was if you have a dispute. So if you're freelance by yourself, I don't think I feel like everyone deserves some form of team shared resources, because it's kind of like buying in bulk at Sam's versus like just buying it somewhere else. Like if everyone's like, if we're buying wholesale, so like, no, like shared, like that was a bad analogy.
No, I like it. No, I like it. I didn't expect that.
Basically, what I'm saying, like if you're a freelancer, it might be better for you to form some form of group with other freelancers to where you guys can share resources with like so basically, if you're a freelancer by yourself, you're going to be your own HR, or you're going to have HR contracted out. You're going to have your own legal team or somebody looking over your contracts, because you're going to be signing contracts, and I don't like signing that stuff by myself. Or you're going to have HR, HR, legal, financial planning, like the business project management, like all that is like one unit. So maybe another good route too is if you're looking to have a freelance mentality or work as a freelancer, maybe going in some form of group to where you guys are putting bids in on different contracts, or being a sub on a contract, and then maybe you can have that flexibility there. And if it's a group review, then you can such and such will be in, and then you're still kind of forming your own company, but it's smaller. Right. So I do think contracting may give you that option to where you're just not like at one place too, and you can be in some of these big time corporations too, because they do have contractors as well. So that is an option as well. Clarence, how are you feeling too, since we've had this dialogue? Are you had any other points you want to bring up?
Nah, I mean,
Terrence has killed all your dreams.
Yeah, he did. I feel like I was looking for my tissue, but I put it somewhere. It fell elsewhere. But I mean, for me, I've looked into freelance for some years, and yes, I do know that it's super tough. I keep balancing back and forth. Would I go that route? I think definitely I have to take on that first gig to kind of really get a feel for it. But I know, for me, I know personally, I don't like staying anywhere too long. So for me, freelancing just seems like it fits with kind of like my outlook on life, which is that, you take a gig, you learn, you do, you perform, you complete, you learn, then you move on to another gig, you learn from that, it's a repeated cycle. And I mean, what I guess what I was trying to get at when I meant by flexibility is that, yes, at the beginning I wouldn't be, going on vacation and, like just kind of hanging out with everybody and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I would definitely have to put in that work and build up that portfolio, build up that, again, like I said, I can't preach enough, but that reputation with my clients, so that, eventually, like, I do believe starting off, you're begging people, you're calling them up, you're sending those packages, gifts and stuff like that. Like, please let me work on your project. But I do think over time you kind of just, you have a point where like people call you, and I think that's what I really meant by flexibility, is that it's really good. And I mean, you could get that without even freelancing, because you could work for a company for some years, somebody else starts their own company, and then bam, they want you to work for them. I mean, that's not necessarily a full-time freelancer, but it's kind of starting out, because it's not like the same what's the word I'm looking for? It's not the same safety net that you get with the company. So, my biggest thing when I think of freelancing is like, yeah, it definitely takes away that safety net that you get from your 9 to 5. But if you're a right fit and you hold expertise or knowledge of all of those things like you listed that you have to have in order to be successful, I mean, why wouldn't you want to take that route? I mean, again, it isn't all peaches and cream, but at the same time, it's not that you can't put in the work to make it that.
Yeah, I
So
get that. And so with all of that, we've kind of talked about what we all think of freelancing. And we know that Clarence has, been studying freelancing for years, thinking about getting into it. But T-Man, have you thought about doing any freelancing throughout the course of your career?
Yes, but I would. All of my goals or plans centered around freelancing was never 100% freelancing. It was more
Mm,
so part time subsidized with teaching, hopefully having income from like educational materials through some of the online learning frameworks. And it was never just 100% of the income. I just can't see myself having like 100% be freelance. Now I would potentially go the contracting route or having that route. But I think I tend to like the benefits that come with being a part of a company, even if it's as a contractor.
right,
So
right,
yeah, I get
I
it.
do
I
like
get that.
that aspect.
So I
And
guess like what got me looking into it was kind of the same approach, T. I was thinking like, oh, this would just be part time. But I think the reason why I look at it more from 100% standpoint now is that the more research that I've done is that like, when I first started looking at it, everybody was just like, oh yeah, you do a couple hours here and there, like, you pick up a small project maybe for like a church or a local business that just needs a website, and boom, a couple nights a week, and they're happy, you're happy, like you get paid, they get revenue, and it's just like all peaches and cream. But the reality that a lot of the freelancers don't tell you, and especially some of the ones that I've seen on YouTube, is that like they did that at first too, and it just became, and like you said, it just took up more time than what
Mhm.
was actually asked of you in the beginning. So it actually turned into 100% thing. And I mean, that made them successful at it, but that's not to say that there aren't others who aren't sharing their story who are like, I would never do it. Like they'll give you that perspective of like, I would never do it again because X, Y, and Z.
and I also do believe that, when that contract's in front of you, that's different. So that does, even though that could be a scary thing, if you have the right legal representation, that can give you that comfort too. So if I'm on
Yeah.
contract for somebody for X amount of for a year or X amount of or 2 years or however, that maybe that could take that feeling away from me too. Then I would be able to adjust that as well. So
Right.
that could be
Yeah.
a part of why maybe I'm so harsh on it too. Because there are some people out there that have they have great contracts and they're a freelancer too. But I do think having a team helps because life hits. I wouldn't want to be the sole person on a project. So I think there's where that contracting piece comes in um, with the freelancing because you don't want to be the only person for that church or whatever company.
Well, I
And
also feel like that comes into number one, that comes into how your contract is written.
in the niche,
And
right? So
also,
like you said, the
yeah,
niche. So maybe you're a freelancer, but you're just doing maybe you're
this
just
this
doing
is my part that I do, and
right
that's it.
in this bigger.
Right.
And also the you get to choose how the size of the commitment that you take on. So that's up to you to be sure that you're not taking on like a full like business type development
Right.
contract where it's like, yeah, I need like, this full blown network set up with, this software to run on top and all that stuff. yeah, you don't need to take that on because that's just over the top and you're just one person. But being able to just say, oh, you need this, particular type of functionality. Oh, okay, I could do that. That's simple. And so it takes you to be the person that's, making those decisions because you have to really think about that.
Right.
So for me, I've done freelancing before. It wasn't really my favorite, just because sometimes the customers kind of got, way more demanding than I felt they should have for certain things, where it's like, okay, so you go through this process and, you give them the options and, and, it's like, well, I can do it this way, I can do it this way, I can do it that way. And they make the decision on their own. Like you're not influencing their decision at all. And then as you're going through, it's like, you know what? Wait, I don't want it like that anymore. And it's like, well, wait a minute. Like we've already agreed on this. I've already started my development, all these things. And now, granted, it may have been that I just didn't write up my contracts the correct way because this was me being like young in college and hey, I want to make some money type thing. And
I was just
so,
happy you had a contract. We were in college. I was like, JB, you got a contract?
yeah,
Yeah, exactly. I thought that was so cool.
like, what are
I was
you?
like, I wish.
I was
How do
like,
we
is
get
that
on
legal?
that?
I don't know. I don't know.
How do we get on? Let us tell us,
They signed.
please. Who talk to me?
Exactly. And so yeah, it was just the demand was a lot. Now, granted, I was also in grad school at the time, so trying to do that plus being in grad school's demanding, and that's demanding. So there's a lot of time that you're just those two things are competing with each other. Um, Doing it full time, I don't know about. But like all of you guys have said, doing it as a supplement to my income that I'm having now, possibly I may go back to it. But with, my own set of stipulations as I go into it to say that, I need you to know and recognize that I have, a job and this is my full-time career. This is my bread and butter. This is just, my little piece on the side type of thing. And so, yeah. But when I was doing those jobs, I mean, I had fun because I was learning new things. And it's like, oh, yeah, I didn't know I could do that. Well, let me see how this works. Let me see how that works type of
Right.
thing. And so that is one of the good benefits of being a freelancer is that you have a lot more freedom to try out new things. But like T-Man said, like you don't have that security blanket or that umbrella to be under a company because with a company, you have that project manager that's there.
True.
They are usually the person that's interfacing with that customer, so they can they have a little more leeway than we're pretty much trained to do, as far as being that pushback. Like, okay, we've already agreed on this. Like, this is the direction you said you wanted to go. Type of thing where it's like a PM has to me better negotiation skills than I would ever have just because they've been doing it for a while. They know how that conversation works. They know how to talk with people, all those things. And so when you're a freelancer, you're just out here like fish fresh out of water. It's like, I mean, I think I can do it, but we already kind of agreed. It becomes a little more passive aggressive than being than to be just like, look, we've already set these things. It's already in motion. Like this is how it has to go, type of thing. And so, it's a lot of those soft skills that have to come into play.
Those are all great points. And I think we were hinting at something, but I wanted to make sure that we define the two. So can I read it off real quick? The difference between a freelancer and a contractor?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
A freelancer is someone that does odd jobs for various clients as their main occupation. A contractor is someone that is contracted for a certain amount of time or a project and paid based on hours worked. So I like that certain amount of time. I like knowing that certain amount of time. I like knowing the hours, and they're probably going to inherit some resources because they got. I don't know. I like the contractor one better than the freelancer one.
Yeah.
But the freelancer one, I can do freelance like JB said. I can do the freelancing on the side along with that main stability. I don't know. I like being stable. Maybe it's the kids that's made me that way.
I see. Okay, but here's my thing. This is what really drew me into freelance, and this is just from my own personal experience, and that is that like I learned early on in my career that safety net that they claim you have isn't always a safety net. In
But
some
that is true.
cases, it's
Yeah.
You exposed us on that one. That is true. You
hey,
can be gone.
yeah, you could be
You can be
gone.
gone.
I've seen. You go make your coffee. You go. Go talk to everybody on the floor. You
Where's
say
my
how
stuff?
you do.
Security sitting there with your boxes. I
Can
gotta
I
go.
finish my cup?
Oh,
Like,
okay.
can I? This ain't a to-go
No,
cup.
I'll
This
take
is
it
a
with you.
It's
mug.
not going to get him. Now he's the discouraging one from working.
But what really brightened my eyes when it came to freelance was that sure, it's the same concept because a freelance gig that you might have, they could cut it short, they could decide that they don't need it, but at the same time like you already have in your mind to know that like you're hungry, you're looking for more gigs, that kind of thing. But like when you work a 9 to 5 and that happens where they
Get
pick up
comfortable.
your box, your whole day is like, what do I do next? Like you're not
Hold on. What happened before they pick up the box? Now don't just.
not. I mean,
Yeah, something
well,
had to happen.
sometimes it could be. Well, okay, true. Sometimes it could be a cut of funding,
You'll hear
depending
about the
on.
budget cuts
It could
before
be
it
budget
gets to you,
cuts.
though.
But you're getting
Not
a
all the time.
package. You're getting a
Not
package.
all. Not all the time. Not all the time. Sometimes
You're
there's a
probably
package.
getting a
Sometimes you're not.
package.
Yeah, I don't know. I've seen where some people got packages and some people didn't. But I guess what I mean is like, sure, if it's self-inflicted, that's you kind of saw that coming. But I'm just saying like you just show up for work one day and you had no idea that the project that you were working on or the company that you're working for just went belly up or just lost, just don't need you anymore because people in higher up places, they know stuff way before you do, especially when you're on the lower level of being just a worker bee, you know. But I guess what I'm saying is that, again, freelance, you kind of go in knowing that like this isn't a safety net. So, you're always probably constantly looking up new jobs, new gigs. You're kind of staying ahead versus like, sure, you have that safety net, you have all those nice benefits, but at the same time, you can't take those for granted because you could lose those at any day,
Clarence,
based on what's going on.
Clarence, some of those benefits are for a lifetime. You get a certain amount of years, some of those benefits are for a lifetime. Let's not
Some of
underestimate that.
Yeah, I'm not saying all of them, but I'm saying
No,
like
you just said
And
benefits. You just kind of
you still have your 401k.
yeah, you keep
Right.
you keep
you
that.
That's
can
that's
That's
have
yours.
that too. You can have that too as a freelancer too, but it might not. They're not.
Yeah.
yeah,
It's
you
You're
don't
not
it
get
might not look the
matching.
same.
Yeah,
you don't get that
it
company
looks a little
match.
different.
You don't get that company match. But I do think though,
Gotta
if
buy your own stock.
again what before I got trampled over, what I was
Yeah,
gonna
because we're going
say.
on an hour. We got to wrap up soon.
So what I was gonna say when I was, first off talking about the term flexibility is that like,
It's not the
sure,
five. You said not the five.
I I I see you, you stable, you like what you got going on, and that's cool. There's a lot of people that are just like that. But I'm just saying that like one thing that I do think that again that freelance can bring you is that flexibility so that sure you don't get that company match, but if you work your ass off, you can always I'm sorry, I had to go
That's
there.
our first.
I
That's our
had to
first one to set on
I,
Dutch right
I,
there.
I had to go there. I had to
It,
go there
it,
because
it
like
got it got him in his heart, and
it
it's
did.
passion.
It did. It did. I won't go any further than that. But I'm just saying that, like, if you
We
really put in
appreciate
the
it.
work, if you really put in the work, like, you can make the same thing that you made at your 9 to 5, and or make more, and still have other options. I mean, there's sometimes in every company doesn't have good benefits. So if you're somebody who doesn't look around, you might think you might have found the greener pasture, but you find out your buddy on LinkedIn works somewhere else and they got twice the benefits as you. I mean, it's a compare and contrast thing, but I definitely think if you put in the work, like you could definitely make freelance work for you, and you could be those clickbait YouTube success stories, and really encourage other people to do the same thing. I just say that when I think of freelance, I think of free spirit, and I think that like it's just it's another way of putting your mind into a place where that there's more out there, and that you can expand your own personal brand.
Are you out here frolicking through, a field of daisies,
Nah, no
a little free
daisies.
spirit.
There's no
I'm just
daisies.
saying.
Yeah, I'm planting seeds, hoping that I get daisies one day, but no daisies right now.
That was a good wrap up though, Clarence. I
Yeah,
really don't have
I
anything
like
else. I
that.
think I got all
Yeah,
my stuff out early.
yeah. I think we need to just wrap it up there because he really got passionate about it, and I don't think we should try and follow that up.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this up.
I want to know what our users have to think. Like, do we have any? Or are you gonna put that in your wrap up? Because I'm just
I
curious. Like,
was, but no, you already started. Go ahead.
I'm
It's
really
on you.
curious for all of our listeners. Have you considered freelance? Have you thought about it? Are you a freelancer? Like if you did consider it, are there reasons why you're holding back from not doing it? Just let us know because we're kind of curious. Because I do think that it's no right or wrong when it comes to it, and I think that like what as T Man stated,
Oh, there's a
it
wrong.
is.
If those bills aren't paid, that's wrong.
What I mean is that
I
if
think
you
he
do
just talking
choose,
about in a general sense, do it or
yeah,
not do it.
in a general
Oh, okay.
sense,
I'm sorry. I got you. Got you.
become
Got
a
you.
freelancer or not. I think there definitely are. I, I I really do think that there are a lot of things that you have to consider. Again, I don't want to say it's the end all be all, but I'm also saying that like T-Man said, depending on where you are in your life, like financially, what you got going on, whether it be, family, friends, and that kind of thing, like, that's something that you could definitely consider. But, it isn't going to be easy. So I'm just curious, who all out there are freelancers and, like what kind of steps did you take to take that route? Are you the 20% here after work that you are able to do it? Did you start off small, end up being 100%? Why did you become 100%? I'm curious.
Okay, well, like I said, this is the wrap up. So, guys, thank you again for listening. All right, guys. So make sure that you like, comment, subscribe, and ring
Ring
that
that
bell.
bell. Woo!
Thanks, guys, again, and be sure to pass it along to your friends that devs like us is the community for you. We want this to be interactive, and we want to hear from you guys.